Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Block Bytes Crypto Weekly News Recap. Let's start with looking at how the markets have performed this week. Most of them have been in red, except a few names. We see Link and Oracles like Link and Pith showing a massive move. And then crypto AI tokens like Render and Tau also dominating the greens, so to say. Let's take a look at the fear and greed index. At the moment, it sits at 60. It was, I think, around 50 something last week, maybe even less than 50 at some time, but it's gone to greed now. Let's move on to the altcoin index, the altcoin season. So it likes like snap in the middle of the altcoin and the Bitcoin season at the moment. It's dropped drastically, come down lately. So we'll see where this ends. And finally, well, not finally, but moving on, let's look at the coin shares report, which shows everything that has happened the week prior to this week. So there was a massive liquidation, obviously, as we know from the GBDC fund. And this is not the previous week, but the week before that. So instead of going in deep into this, let's look at something that happened last week. So this is day 15. And so day 10 to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 is what was last week. So Fidelity has slowed down, as you can see from the blue chart here. And also the GBDC sell-off has reduced, which is a good news. Overall, if you look at the amount of inflows or outflows, if you look at the overall number, day 15 with the Bitcoin addition and deletion per fund, we'll go to that later. Let's flow per fund. Okay. So there is this addition, right? So you have these liquidation from the GBDC and then all the additions here of the different ETFs. So combining them together and comparing it with the GBDC, there is a net inflow, which is good news for Bitcoin, obviously. And this is how the market has been last week. So let's move on to the first news of the week. Positive news, obviously, now that Bitcoin ETFs are kind of in the back burner, where the market is looking at ETH ETFs, spot ETFs now. So Standard Chartered Bank has been a ETH maxi, you may call it, in the TradFi domain. If you guys remember, they came out with an amazing analysis of Ethereum and their price targets last year. And that report in which they had also specified that the spot ETFs would be a trigger. So doubling down on that report and a new report by them says that the ETFs may get approved by May 23rd. Interestingly, what they are saying is that it may follow the same route as the Bitcoin ETF. So let me just go ahead and read this part. We expect pending applications for ETH US spot ETFs to be approved on May 23rd. The final deadline for the first of the ETFs under consideration. The equivalent date of Jan 10th. If ETH price performs similarly to how BTC prices performed in the lead up to the BTC ETF approval, Ethereum could trade up to $4,000 by then. Obviously, they're trying to double down on their own price targets, but this is what they're trying to say. They're saying that in a way that it's going to pretty much follow the same cycle as the BTC ETF. And the other interesting part is that, you have grayscale here as well. So just like you have the troublemaker grayscale Bitcoin ETF, you have the grayscale Ethereum trust as well. So let me read this part. Grayscale also has an ETH trust that it wants to turn into ETF. So a denial of that application would likely lead to another appeal by Grayscale. We see no fundamental reason, obviously, right? Because there's obviously a futures existing, so there is actually no more reason for them to deny it. And I think the SEC also does not say that it is a security. So chances are quite high, and the fact that it's going to follow the BTC news cycle is also pretty high. So let's wait and see what happens. This is certainly good news for Ethereum protocol and for the alts as well. Okay, so this is just a representation of how much Ethereum, the Grayscale Ethereum trust hold. It holds around 2.97 million ETH tokens at the moment. So all of this will, if we are assuming that the same mechanism will trigger, just like it happened for the Bitcoin ETF, this will start to sell and start to move into the newer Ethereum ETFs. Of course, it all depends on, well, it has to sell because this will be converted into ETF, spot ETF, and that will be a different vehicle. So I guess that will have to change, but I'm not sure about that. But in any case, do expect similar ups and downs as we saw with BTC. That is what the report says. So, all right, moving on. Immutable zkEVM has launched its mainnet to in early access mode. If you guys remember, Immutable X is a gaming blockchain. They already have a mainnet blockchain on which hundreds of games are already being developed. Their new blockchain is the zkEVM, which they have developed in collaboration with Polygon using their zkEVM internally. So it was in testnet, and now they have launched it in mainnet for some early games. So this is good news. It seems like everything is working out according to plan for them. Immutable X already is one of the top. It's actually, if you look at this DappRadar, if you go to DappRadar and look for gaming, top blockchains in gaming, you see that Immutable X already is number 2 in the top gaming. So it has a lot of traction. It has a lot of network effects, and it's only going to help grow their new blockchain, the zkEVM. So overall, this is amazing news for Immutable X, and also amazing news for zk technology in the sense that it'll be used for a specific use case like gaming. And I'm of the opinion that the zero knowledge narrative or the zero knowledge technology is going to drive further innovation, is what is going to drive further innovation in not just the Ethereum crypto ecosystem, but also the entire crypto ecosystem, whether that be Cosmos, Solana, Polkadot, whatever. So it will be interesting to see how their new blockchain works. Although it's not entirely dependent. The success of zk technology is not dependent on whether the immutable zkEVM chain gains success or not, right? But nonetheless, for gaming, we have a zk blockchain, which is an interesting story in itself, and let's see how it functions and compares with other gaming blockchains down the line. All right, moving on, the next news. We have another collaboration. This time, Starknet has collaborated with Celestia for data availability for their layer 3 ecosystem. So for those who are familiar with Starknet would know that Starknet has this unique architecture where you can have multiple layers. It can go on theoretically to any number. So for their layer 3 applications, they have chosen to collaborate with Celestia on data availability part. Celestia already is enjoying a lot of traction these days. It has collaborated with other rollups as well, which is a good news for them. I'm sorry. And yeah, so data availability wars, as it's commonly referred to in crypto X these days, is a very interesting fight. We have obviously the proto danksharding coming up on Ethereum, which is the first step towards improving its own internal data availability. Then you have Celestia DA, which is the most sought after DA solution at the moment. Then you have Eigen DA, which is probably in testnet if I'm not mistaken at the moment, but that's going to be releasing soon. And then you have Near DA, which is also in the works. And you fifth, you have a whale from the team at Polygon. So you have all of these, and there are probably others as well. You have all of these different DA solutions. It gives you vibes of the whole modular layer 2 rollups initial stages where you had, everybody trying to spin off their own layer 2s. This has got similar vibes. But so far, that is why it's sometimes people call it the DA wars. So it's an interesting case study to see. And a lot of people have actually done this analysis, which is better. They obviously have their own pros and cons. And I often wonder how difficult a job it is to be a developer in crypto when you have so many options to choose from. Which one do you want to choose? Is it an easier task? Is it made difficult with all the modularity? It's very interesting. I hope somebody answers that. But again, I'm not expecting it cannot be generalized. I'm sure there are cases for which it's easier, for cases that have created a lot of confusion. But nonetheless, consolidation, I don't see that happening very time soon, but innovation, yes. Interoperability, yes. So that's what I'm banking on. Moving on. Yes, again, on the Bitcoin ETF news, this is something that has been in the works for the last few weeks, I think, as we've covered this news before. It's not just the US financial markets that are opening up to the idea of having Bitcoin spot ETFs, but Hong Kong also has recently filed an application to have their own spot ETF, Bitcoin ETF, sorry. So this will be another supply side or a demand, sorry, not supply, demand side trigger for Bitcoin. And interestingly, the other new trigger that I came across recently was Tether has shown a massive, has had a massive profitable year. And a lot of that profit actually they end up buying Bitcoin. So that is another demand side trigger. So there's a lot of these demand vectors coming in on top of Bitcoin. Everybody wants Bitcoin. And as you all know, the supply is fixed. And if that is the equation, then you know what happens to the price of Bitcoin, right? So this is good news, obviously, for every Bitcoin holder. So yeah, interesting. I'm going to be interested to see if other countries also, because Argentina and Latin American countries have already warmed up to the idea of using El Salvador is already using Bitcoin. I wonder if they want to have a spot ETF of their own. That will be an interesting thing to know. They already hold a lot of Bitcoins. I don't know if they want to have spot ETF. But again, I mean, the point being, it'll be interesting to see other countries. I'm sure there are other countries thinking about it. It could be something in the Middle East. Who knows? All right, let's move on to the next news. Okay, so this news was on crypto Twitter last week. Ripple co-founder Chris Larson's XRP wallet address was hacked, and XRP tokens worth $112 million were stolen, right, from his personal cryptocurrency account. So hackers illicitly accessed the personal XRP accounts, and they transferred all of this tokens, and now it's going everywhere. It's going through mixers, it's going through different wallet, going through different centralized exchanges to be sold or converted into other tokens. So what the interesting part was that it kind of triggered a different narrative that, why is the co-founder of Ripple actually have so many XRP tokens? I don't know how valid a concern that is, but for some it is. So anyway, that is CryptoX for you in a nutshell. I mean, you have very, very smart people, and they don't let anything, uh, go beyond, and just nothing is a coincidence. Let me just put it that way. And things. So in this case, zkEVM was the one who actually came out with the news. On top of that, Chris remarked and said that, this was an unauthorization on my XRP account and not Ripple. Out to which Zach actually responded, "It's not here," saying that my account, wink, wink. That's an interesting comment to make. But nevertheless, a setback for Chris personally. I'm not sure if he'll be able to get his tokens back, but maybe in time he will. Part of it, who knows? The centralized exchanges are kind of working with him and the investigation authorities. So hopefully he'll get some of this, if not all, back. Moving on. Okay, a news from India. The interim budget was presented on the 1st of Feb. And a lot of people in the crypto community were hoping that the finance minister would talk about crypto tax and possibly reduce it. But personally, I thought it was too far-fetched an idea, and that is exactly what happened. The finance ministry did not touch or did not change the crypto tax regime at the moment, which according, if you ask me, I wasn't expecting that, but a lot of people were. They were optimistic, especially with the Web3 community having frequent discussions with the finance ministry. So there was a little bit of a chance, but even the spokesman of the crypto association, the Bharat Web3 Association, that was in talk with the finance minister, Mr. Shenoy, said that high TDS income tax rate continue to be hurdles, which has caused both creators and consumers, etc., etc. He wasn't expecting. Where is that? Yes, and we didn't expect any big movement, but we are eagerly anticipating changes to be announced post-election. Why post-elections? Because this is an interim budget. It's not a proper fuel budget. A proper budget would be sometime in July after the elections. So hopefully, if it was not announced in the interim budget, there might be some good news lurking in the post-election main budget. So that is the expectation at the moment. Again, I would not be surprised if the taxes are not brought down. But I would be pleasantly surprised and happy if they were. And I'll come to that in a minute, as I'll cover that in another news. So moving on to the next news. Okay, so there was news that FTX wants to restart their crypto exchange business, which obviously is not a great idea, as anybody can imagine. I don't know why somebody would even think about it, but of course, when you are blinded by making easy money, sometimes you don't think clear. But nevertheless, there were people who wanted to do that, but good sense prevailed, and they came out and said that they have dropped the ideas. And the related news is that the creditors for FTX would probably soon be made whole, which is a great news for them. And the main reason why FTX 2.0 could not launch is because they couldn't find any investors, and for obvious reasons. Right? It's just amazing why people can even think about, but never mind. Right. So yeah. So good news. Okay. Out of this, the good news: the creditor is going to be whole. They will get the money that they have been owed back after a long time. The whole FTX debacle happened in mid 2022. I think by the end of the year or early in 23, the FTX exchange was completely shut down, and it's been more than a year, if not more, since the creditors have been waiting. So that is good news for them. Moving on, Polygon Labs has again cut down some of its staff. The last time they did it was in early of 2023. They reduced 60 positions, or they removed 60 people from their team, which is 19% of the staff. According to the CEO, the main idea behind was to it was more for the sake of enhanced performance rather than financial reasons. So they've trimmed down because they felt that there is some bloat somewhere which they need to get away with in order to become or stay nimble and agile. And it is not the first company, and it's not going to be the last company. We saw Coinbase, we saw AVAX reduce staff, and these are tough time also economically, so it's not surprising that they've actually done this. So yeah, moving on to the last news of the day. Yes, so Argentina may drop crypto tax plans. Let me just rephrase it because the details are in the article. The president has been making a lot of impact in the West, and from when it comes to crypto, he's a Bitcoin. He understands Bitcoin and he wants Bitcoin, and so this is not surprising that he is planning to drop crypto tax. But let's read through the fine print. Argentina's president, Javier Milei, has opted to remove the proposed cryptocurrency taxes from the controversial omnibus reform package. So there is a huge reform package which covers a lot of different parameters and sectors and the entire economy, and out of which the cryptocurrency taxes which were proposed in that package does not have the support or the backing of the current president. Right. So initially, the provisions included paying taxpayers to declare ownership of previously undeclared assets, including cryptocurrency. Holding crypto or paying with it is not, holding crypto or paying with it is not and won't be taxed, apparently, but selling big amounts at profit is, right? So that is the fine print. So if you're holding crypto, you're not selling it, or you're basically just using it for day-to-day transactions, you will not be tracked. So, but then this is the point where the nuance come. How do you define what is day-to-day transaction? Is there a limit, etc., so on and so forth? But of course, if you're selling all of your Bitcoin holdings, for example, and that is for the purpose of profit, then you'll have to end up paying some tax on that profit, right? So, and the last part I want to share is that this is not yet passed. This is still has to get the final stamp of approval from the Congress or the Parliament, if you are an Indian. Milei's party holds a minority in Congress, which means that the bill is likely to face resistance. Right? So it's not yet passed, and February 15th is when the bill is going to be decided whether the bill will face. Now, this bill, we're talking about the entire package, not just the cryptocurrency bill. So it is going to be interesting to see how this pans out. Now, why I said when I was covering the Indian news that I will be pleasantly surprised if the Indian government actually removes taxes, is that, you have countries like Argentina thinking about removing taxes. Now, I'm not saying both are comparable. Argentina is in a completely different economic and financial and geopolitical situation than India is. There's no comparison whatsoever. However, from a sentimental perspective, I think it'll send a good signal to the crypto market in India if the government do decide to reduce the taxes. So I'll be happy if they do it, but I will not be surprised if they don't do it, right? Because it's not high up their agenda at the moment. There are so many other things that are high up the agenda of the finance ministry at the moment. Cryptocurrency is, it's a very, 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 very thin sliver. And they're in no rush. They don't think that their priorities are not in making India the hub of cryptocurrency, but the hub of manufacturing, right? So that's a different ballgame altogether. So with that, let me just end this news recap. I hope you enjoyed the selection of news stories that I brought, and I will see you next week with another crypto news recap. Bye.